Hello and welcome to all the Autobots and Decepticons out there. I'm Joe here with me, my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
We've got another shot for shot of Transformers for you all. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Last time we got into how Galvatron shut down both Autobot ships for all intents and purposes, rather skillfully and impressively. This time, we're going to be getting into the next couple of scenes on the Sharkbot planet, which is a pretty great sequence of events. And this is something that actually really expands a bit of the Transformers mythos in a lot of ways, and which adds another great villain to the repertoire. And you have, of course, the Sharkbots, who are pretty evil and monstrous in their own way. So, to start with, Hot Rod has apparently been ejected from the ship onto the, underwater. Not that the water much affects him because he's not human. And he cries out for some of his buddies and doesn't immediately get a response, so cuts himself free from what he's tangled up in. And then here's Cup calling out for rescue. Cup, meanwhile, is in the midst of a tentacle hentai nightmare, Robot Edition, and Hot Rod, of course, hurries to the rescue. But Hot Rod comes to the rescue, of course, and almost destroys the Kraken that is wanting to devour Cup. Cup has lost a few limbs along the way, so Hot Rod has a leg up on him in terms of being able to fight for their lives. Hope you all don't mind the dad joke. And puns are, after all, the highest form of comedy. And what happens is Hot Rod, with a great 80s tune blasting our eardrums off, goes up to the surface. Meanwhile, with the other Autobots, they crashed, of course, and they quickly realize they need to give the autopilot a raise, as Razor points out. Well, it's only true. That thing probably isn't paid enough. As for RC, she ended up taking the brunt of her crash, so to speak, to protect Daniel, because he's very squishy. And I'm just realizing, I think I foolishly have been calling him Razor when I think he's Spinner.
Yeah, I think so too.
Very foolish on my part. Sorry to all the Transformer fans out there. My bad. My memory's not what it once was, I guess, for names. But Ultra Magnus's team are just going to go around digging up trash on a trash world, because it's the thing to do, and salvage their ship. Trouble is, it's going to take a while to fix it or to build up a new ship. And they don't have much time. Meanwhile, on the Shark Planet, or in the Shark Tank, Cup has been repaired. So Hot Rod no longer has a leg up over him.
He gave a hand to Cup.
Yeah. And the two bond a little, with Hot Rod pleased at the first real compliments Cup ever gave him, which is rather nice, I guess. And with the Autobot equivalent of J. Jonah Jameson approving and acting a little more softly than J. Jonah Jameson normally would from Spider-Man comics, the two take off, only to then run into the Sharkbots. And it's at this point we get the most important piece of Transformers lore in all of history. Ba weep grana weep ninny bong. That is to say, the universal greeting. And this is the most important addition in all of science fiction history.
It's the sole reason why Transformers exists.
Exactly. So, this is also the kind of lore we've all been waiting for our entire lives. At least those of us who had lives before this movie, or had lives before we saw this movie after it came out. And this greeting always works, as is proven in the next part of the scene when They offer Energon goodies and are promptly attacked and taken prisoner. Must be Cup's overwhelming charm that kicked in here. This is all his fault. And that darn wall-crawling weasel's fault. I don't know how, but it just is.
He miscalculated because the Sharkticons are not as civilized or as high functioning.
Yeah, but yeah, I had a stronger complaint in mind that I forgot it. But I also think it's supposed to be a bit of a joke in the movie that when Cup does it, it doesn't work because he's basically saying, "Watch and learn, kiddo," only to then screw it up because he's trying to negotiate with the wrong people, only for Hot Rod to learn what not to do, and later does it right. I think that's the whole idea. But the two are taken prisoner, and by this time, Hot Rod's a little more impatient with Cup for landing them in this mess, as it is all his fault. And snaps at Cup when Cup goes, "This reminds me of the time on, I think it's Golgana 6, in the slave mines there." And Hot Rod just snaps and tells him, "Every place reminds you of some place else." "Well, experience, lad. Learn to appreciate it." From Cup. Yeah, I think Hot Rod would appreciate it better if Cup could apply it in a useful way rather than just screw up every time and never really properly apply experience. This is the entire reason the Autobots are losing the war. I'm actually going to go there. Because the only one who seems to apply experience well seemed to be Spinner and Ultra Magnus. No other Autobot seems able to apply the experience very well. And I guess Hot Rod as well. Every other Autobot seems like, okay, I'm now going to try to make this work, only to run themselves into the ground. At least Megatron/Galvatron can apply experience well. He applied the experience he learned from all 1 million attempts by Starscream to betray him and destroy him in order to counteract the 1,000,001st plot, aka just did Starscream in as Galvatron. So yeah, this is a little bit of a funny bit of the movie. Cup and Hot Rod, though, arrive in front of what is probably the most sadistic, corrupt court in the entire universe. And here the judge, His Imperial Majesty, if he's called initially.
He's one of the Quintessence.
Yeah.
Which, apparently, according to the lore, neither the Autobots or the Decepticons much care for them.
Can you blame them? He declares when prompted regarding a prisoner standing over a large pit full of Sharkticons to declare a prisoner innocent or guilty. He declares him innocent, at which point they drop him into the pit to be fed by the Sharkticons. What's the point of even having a trial if innocent means cannibalized and guilty means cannibalized? There's really no difference. And one could read here a commentary on probably a lot of communist fascist regimes from history, and how if you were declared innocent, you were boned. If you're declared guilty, you were boned. It really didn't make any difference. So I'd argue there is a bit of a commentary here. But we'll get into the next few scenes next time, as it's really interesting stuff, and there is some lore and some atmospheric stuff there that does need to be discussed. So don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button as though you were Hot Rod running over Cup.